So often I'm blamed, Mr. X, damn you, because of you reviewing this, I bought this statue. Well, you're not a victim. However, sometimes I'm a victim to other YouTube channels. Damn you, Mint Hunter Comics. If you haven't checked out that YouTube channel, go ahead and check it out. The creator not only puts out awesome content, he knows his stuff, he's a huge supporter of the Extreme channel, and I've actually bought a statue from him before. It's his damn fault that this is here in front of me and I'm out $800. Hey guys, thanks for tuning in. Today we are reviewing this Black Manta statue from Prime 1 Studios. That's right, this is Black Manta. He is the enemy of Aquaman. He was recently popularized in the DC Universe Aquaman movie. Now this isn't based off that movie, it's not even based off of the comics. This is actually based off of Injustice 2, which is a video game that I recently got into. And when I say I recently got into, I mean more my sons got into it. So I downloaded it for them because apparently it was free. I don't know how all that Xbox crap works. They have a gold pass or something. I'm not a gamer. But we downloaded it, we started playing it, and it was amazing. And the reason we downloaded it is I actually purchased a different Injustice 2 statue from Prime 1 Studios that will be arriving in the next month or so, this Brainiac piece. Now, another interesting fact, I'm pretty sure that Black Manta is actually a hidden character and we haven't unlocked him yet. So I'm not going to be able to tell you many references between this and the game. However, even though it's not based off of it, there are a lot of references of this statue based off the comics and based off the Aquaman movie, although I don't think that's intentional. So Black Manta, if you're unfamiliar who he is, or if you just watched the Aquaman movie, he has a few different origin stories. Now the one in Aquaman is kind of their own take on it, based a little bit off an Aquaman origin story. Aquaman was responsible for his father's death, but vice versa, Black Manta was also responsible for Aquaman. So for that reason, they are actually arch enemies. This is usually considered one of Aquaman's, if not his biggest nemesis. But there are some other origin stories where he was crazy and he was in Arkham Asylum, where he was taken aboard a boat of pirates. But either way, it's not a pretty picture, and this guy has a lot of anger and a lot of hate. He is also a treasure hunter, which is where he got all of his funding to create all of his awesome weapons, including his suit, a lot of the weapons that can actually hurt metahumans. So he is actually a pretty formidable foe. Most notably, his biggest weapon is his optic blast, kind of like Cyclops from the Marvel Universe. He actually can do that with his helmet, and it hurts metahumans like Aquaman and all the other Justice League. So the reason I purchased this is I actually have a giant 1/4 scale Aquaman statue that looks amazing. Now I kind of wanted a 1/4 scale foe because that's kind of the direction I'm going with that collection. All of the heroes are parts of the Justice League. I have their arch enemy. Now this is, to my knowledge, the only 1/4 scale Manta statue out there, or Black Manta statue. And I didn't want to get him, but after watching James's review over and over again, it just looked amazing. And you know what? He told me it's one of the coolest statues out there. I have to say that he is right. This is an amazing statue, so let's dive into the Extreme review and see how amazing it is. All right, let's start off with concept with this piece, and this is one of the many areas that it shines. They did some phenomenal things with this. First of all, on the bottom, they have a sub base right down here. Now, this sub base has some reminiscence of maybe a submarine. We'll talk about that later. But then you have the ocean. The ocean is splashing out all over the place. There's tons of aquatic life. There's a big rock in the middle. Now, we don't know if this rock is on the bottom of the ocean or if it's above the ocean and he's coming out of it. But nonetheless, in an extreme dynamic stance or action pose, you have Black Manta breaking out of the water, almost doing a little bit of a ballet dance, which we'll talk about in a second. He has a sword in his left hand. In his right hand, you see some water coming down. So this is very apparent. He just arose out of the water. He has another massive weapon in his right hand. He's wearing, at least in this right here, his classic helmet from his comics and from the movie. He's in his full suit, and it looks fantastic. I love the action part of this statue. I love how there's so much going on the base. I love how real it looks. The fact that they have the water streaming down here. Crazy, crazy good concept, with one exception. Now, being on YouTube, I know, especially if I watch myself back, I make some really weird movements or facial expressions, and a lot of people hate watching themselves on camera. I'm the same way. And I'm sure if I was breaking out of the water like that, I would do some weird ballet move that doesn't look that menacing as well. But I don't like that. He looks weird. It doesn't look as menacing. It looks like he's dancing. So, because of that reason, I don't think it's a perfect concept. So I'm going to give it a 4 out of 5. And again, as a disclaimer, I'm sure that's probably pretty accurate to what human anatomy would be doing at the time. I just don't like it. But let's talk about the design on this piece. Now, I did an unboxing and assembly of this at about 3:30 in the morning, so that's why you're going to love what I'm wearing. Check it out. It came in one single box, which was bigger than I thought it'd be. Now, the art box was actually pretty nice. You guys know I'm not a big art box person, but it's neat that they're doing this, showing pictures of the statue, a little bit of conceptual stuff on the other side. Standard Prime 1 Studios, tape, and white foam. Here was the first layer. Then remove the wax paper on the first layer. A lot more pieces than I thought there'd be as well. Followed by the second layer, which had a lot of the bigger pieces other than the base. All right, few different display options to look at. So they made an exclusive and a regular. This is the exclusive. However, in my opinion, the exclusive is not needed. I think the regular version is much better. So let's look at that. The regular version comes with this portrait. Like I said, this is very comic accurate, and it also has a light up feature, which is pretty cool. It's 2 AA batteries. Now, there is an exclusive switch out head. Now, I've never seen this head before, so I'm assuming this has something to do with the Injustice 2 video game. Hopefully, we'll be able to unlock that character sometime and find that out. We should be able to unlock it with the amount of time my son spent on it. He can now kick my ass. Let's measure him for you. One thing I love about this is the base doesn't take up a lot of room. So the diameter of the base is probably about 12.5, 13 inches. And then it sticks out a little bit farther with the water or the shark, another 2 or 3 inches. The height on this is crazy. And we go all the way up to 30 inches, just under 30 inches. Which is weird because I remember Prime 1 Studios saying it was 31 inches. Now, everything fit together well with one exception. Take a look at the key from Aquaman going into the rock. So there are actually 2 different keys, and both of them don't seem to sit flush. They may sit flush over time, so I'm not really worried about this because this is kind of hard to see as well. But it does pose the question, will this have leaning issues? Now, another negative is how tall this is for a 1/4 scale piece. it makes it prohibitive to put in cases. So you almost have to find a top display space for him, which honestly is the reason I hadn't pulled the trigger on him a long time ago. So a lot of pros and cons to the design. I think the design's a 3 out of 5. I mean, it's very impressive what's going on, but again, I do have a little bit of worries about leaning because the keys aren't going in all the way. I hate how tall he is. The switch outs really aren't that amazing. I think it would have been awesome if they did switch outs of the blades that come out of his arm. That was one of his primary weapons besides his optic blast in the comics. Paint and sculpt, on the other hand, is done very well. So check out the video of the details on it. So let's dive into this guy. Now, as I said, I really like this base. You know, I'm not a big fan of museum-style bases or sub-bases, but the fact that this almost looks like a submarine, so it has some underwater ties, I think is pretty cool. You know, if they made the entire base out of this clear resin for the water, I think a lot of breakage issues, so that was probably smart for them to do. Plus, sometimes a museum style or semi-museum style makes it a little more classy, and I think it does it well with this piece. The colors are fine. They're kind of a monotonous off gray, and it does have a little bit of a plastic feel, but overall, not something you're immediately drawn to. The water, love the water. Semi-translucent resin, the dark blue moving into the white caps like it's splashing up, I think is done ingeniously. Very impressed with that. And I think they did a nice job with the rocks. Now, we don't know if the rocks are rising out of the water, like I said, but they do have a glistening, moist effect on them, which I think is really adds to it. And it looks fantastic. Same thing with the sea animals, whether it's these chocolate chip starfish or the, I don't know what kind of starfish that is, but very vibrant colors. The little octopus here, so much detail on these. Look at that. And again, that moist effect on top of it, but just some cool colors, some cool detail on the skin of the octopus. The ray down here, same thing. Little beady eye, kind of almost like an elephant-like skin. The shark here doesn't have that glistening effect, which I think is good because it might be a little overpowering with all that. Doesn't really look like a fierce shark, not that I'd want to meet him any day, but it's done really well. Beautiful piece right here, the colors of the gray. And what's crazy is you see all these gray and brown colors, but it varies between each piece. So the continuity of the statue, it breaks it up quite nice. And that's true with his outfit too. So his outfit has a lot of grays, and this purple, the textured part is more of a purple layering. So that combined with the silver lines throughout it, and that purple layering has a honeycomb pattern on it, and the anatomy is fantastic. It's not over accentuated. A lot of times on comic book characters, they can be wearing a uniform and you see their anatomy through the uniform, and that doesn't really make sense. However, it would on a wetsuit, so I like that. I mean, it's just very cool. Different texture on his ass there as you move down. It's the wetsuit, it looks more like a mix of a body armor and wetsuit together. So I think they did a really nice job with that. It's just really impressive overall. Check out his boots down here. They have these metallic guards on them. Again, they did such a good job of having the same colors over, but using a variant of those colors, of the purples, the grays, a little bit of blues on the statue, and it really makes it vibrant and pops. Here's the sword. Now, I don't believe this was real metal, but it still looks very good. Great detail. A little bit of foam there I gotta get off. And here's, so I would assume this is what supplies his helmet. And this is cool because it almost looks like a stingray as well, or a manta ray. And there's a little bit of red to break it up there and almost tell more of the story. That's some of the circuitry or the power. You see that on his right arm as well. And how they included this, I think, like we talked about earlier, is just genius. It really tells the flow of the statue coming up. This looks a little plasticky. I wish they would have done this metal right here, this weapon. You can definitely tell it's painted polystone, or they should have used a more metallic gray. He has some tubes coming up through his throat. Now the eyes look much better turned on. Now, since I rarely use light up features, especially battery operated one, I almost wish that they would have done a more vibrant red lens instead of doing this with the, they did this one a little less vibrant so that you could see the light up through it. I think that was a mistake personally, although some people love light up features. And again, different color gray up here on the helmet as well. And really quick on the other portrait, a lot of similar stuff, a lot more of the red. And what's interesting about this, while it doesn't have a light up feature, at least I don't believe it does, some of the red actually looks like light shining off of it, like right there, if you have large spotlights on it. So overall, really impressive piece. I think what I thought would be the most impressive, the helmet is one of the least impressive, and the weapons, but the body and the base are fantastic. All right, let's do paint first. Like I said, my least favorite part of the paint is actually his helmet, but the rest of it I think is phenomenal. I love every part of the base. I think the paint would be a 6 out of 5 on the base, to be honest with you. And do you ever wonder why people say that, to be honest with you? You should be wary of people that say that, because that means that they're lying a lot. So to be honest with you, I think the suit is phenomenal as well. The backpack's okay, the charging pack and the weapons are okay, but I'm still going to give the paint a 5 out of 5 because it really pops. It's really impressive overall. It's not perfect. 5 out of 5 doesn't mean it's perfect. It just means it's really impressive. Sculpt. A lot of the same comments. I love the sculpt of the suit. I actually like the sculpt of the helmet a little bit better than the paint. I love the sculpt of everything on the bottom, so I'm going to give it a 5 out of 5 on the sculpt as well. Really impressed by that. Now let's talk about value of this piece. So this was $750 to $800 depending on the exclusive or the regular. They made 350 of these. 150 was the exclusive that has that additional head that we looked at. 200 were the regular. Now I picked this up during Prime 1's winter sale, so I got triple reward points, which means I actually got 15% store credit. So technically I got like another 120 or so bucks towards another statue. And then shipping was like $50 economy. So I think the value is really good. Like I said, to my knowledge, there's not another 1/4 scale Black Manta piece. And especially with Aquaman 2 coming out, I don't know if Black Manta's in it, but it will more popularize Aquaman. And like I said, there's not a lot of specific Aquaman villains. So I'm thinking there are going to be more Aquaman statues coming for sure, which will help the value of this. So I think the value is a 4 out of 5 for all of those reasons. Now, does this statue have the X factor? Is it a 5 out of 5 statue? I think it has the potential to be. I really do. I think if they had done better on the portrait, which to me is kind of what you go to, I think it for sure would have been a 5 out of 5. I think it's damn close, but I don't think it cuts it. I think it's a 4 out of 5 statue. Maybe if I had more ties to the character, I would think differently. But overall, very good job by Prime 1 Studios. Really impressed with this piece. Let me know, guys, if you're seeing what I'm seeing. Throw that in the comments below. Drop me a like on your way out. Make sure to punch that picture of me if you want to subscribe to the channel and hit that bell notification. But I appreciate you guys watching. Ton more stuff like this coming, so make sure you stay tuned. Take care.